Welcome! Today we're going to walk through setting up single sign-on for Redocly using Okta and SAML2. This will allow your team to securely access Redocly with the convenience of SSO. Let's dive in. First, log into your Redocly Reunite account. Head to Organization Settings, then select SSO. Here, we'll start by creating an identity provider using SAML2. This will allow us to connect Okta as our SSO provider. We'll do a corporate SSO account. We'll be using this to log into both Reunite and into internal projects. Now let's move over to Okta. In your Okta dashboard, navigate to Applications and select Create a New App Integration. Choose SAML 2.0 as the sign-in method, then click Next. We're going to fill out the form, creating this application, including uploading a logo. Some fields, like the single sign-on URL and audience URI, require data from Redocly's Reunite. So we're going to go back there to copy those details and paste them back here in Okta. We'll fill in the group attribute statements. This is important. We'll enter a name. We'll use a URI, redocly.com/SSO/teams. The name format's a URI reference. And we'll add a filter starts with redocly. We'll hit next and we'll check the box that this is an internal app. Once we've created our app, we'll click on View SAML Setup Instructions. This is going to show us important configuration information needed to finish filling out the SSO form. Now, let's head back to Reunite to finish our SSO setup. In your Reunite SSO form, fill out any remaining fields with information from Okta, such as the single sign-on URL and the issuer ID, which is a URL, as well as the X509 public certificate. Finally, I would recommend starting with the organization role of owner. You want to ensure that when you try single sign-on, you do not lose your privileges as a user. Back in Okta, we'll add a couple groups. One, redocly.owners, all lowercase, and another one for testing purposes, redocly.museum. I'm using this pattern because we're going to pass the group names that start with Redocly into a SAML attribute. Make sure your user is assigned to those groups. Finally, go back to the SAML application in Okta. Next, we'll go on to do the assignments. So in the Assignments tab, we can select Assign to Groups, and we can assign it to our two groups, our redocly.owners and our redocly.museum. Now we're going to test. We'll log out, and then we'll navigate to our /org/org/slug. This way the login with SSO button displays. We'll try our login. If we use the same email address, we'll need to link our account. Success. I see the full menu, which means I'm an owner. I check to make sure the other teams are there. And they are. So now I can edit the default organization role and set it to either member or viewer, viewer being the least privilege. I can test by logging out and logging back in again to ensure that I retain access. Now we'll test Project SSO and RBAC. In our redocly.yaml file, we set up SSO when we point to our corporate provider. That's the one we set up earlier. For RBAC, we need to set the content, and the double asterisk is a glob pattern, which means all the content anyone can read. And I'm setting the tutorials only so that the Redocly.warp team can read. I'll log in. The tutorials are displayed as missions in the navbar, and we do not see them, whether I'm logged in or not. That's because I'm not a member of the Redocly.warp group or team. I go to Okta, I make this group, save it, add my user to the group. Now I will need to add this group to the application or assign it to the application. And I do that. I head back to our project. I'm going to log out and log back in to refresh my token and see if the teams do pass through successfully. They do. I see the missions, which are at the /tutorials URL. Success. And that's it. You've successfully set up SSO for Redocly using Okta with SAML2. For more tutorials and support, visit us at redocly.com. Don't forget to subscribe for more API insights and setup guides.